Welcome. Hello. Thank you for joining us, maybe from all over the world. I'm Tristan Dumenil, and I'm today representing Dorian. We are a 30 years French software editor located in Nice, south of France. And we provide data management solutions for agronomy research, for seed companies, technical institutes, and agro industries, and we work globally. So I am very pleased today to have the opportunity to share our experience on the challenges and the solutions that we propose for the digitalization of tree breeding programs. So if you have any question during my presentation, feel free to ask them in the chat, and I will take some time at the end of my speech to answer. So let's start. Agricultural production from the trees, excluding the wood production, is representing a very small part of the global agricultural production. And we can see a large diversity of species produced around the world with very diversified purpose. For sure, direct consuming, like fruits with a large diversity of families of fruits. Processed for direct consuming, like cocoa, coffee, grape wine, or processed for industry, like oil from palm oil or pepper from eucalyptus. And breeding these crops is very crucial in order to sustain the production for food security in the context of climate changes and disease situations, to also propose some alternative solutions to chemical fertilizing or crop protections, and for sure responding to consumer expectations in terms of quality and diversity. In few words, the breeding objectives are not so different from other crops in terms of disease resistance, climate resilience, fruit quality, or productivity. But tree breeding organization can face with some specific challenges due to, I would say, biological specificities, and I can set notably the low genetic variability we generally find in cultivars of commercial species. There are also some strategic elements of the breeding objective, which focus more on the fruit appearances or quality and not on the robustness, which finally offers many opportunities for agriculture sustainability. The third insight for tree breeding organization is the specificity of the market they address. Indeed, the varieties can have a very short market life with a high consumer versatility. So it becomes difficult to assume the investments of breeding. Furthermore, when the breeding cycle can spend around 15 years because of time to get cultivar maturity. Along my presentation, I will detail these 3 points, and I will first focus on biological specificities which impact breeding processes, like multiple year evaluation for each breeding decision cycle. And the multiple year evaluation for each breeding decision cycle, and the low genetic variability generally encountered in tree crop population. Then I will spend some time on the strategies that can be put in place in order to mitigate the long and complex breeding processes, and notably discuss about modern breeding techniques that propose solutions for strong heterogeneity and long breeding cycles. Finally, I will say a few words on some digital solutions responses to address specific requests of breeding trees, like how to track the fruit quality and make match with market expectations. I will conclude with some interesting alternative of participative breeding, which can offer some attractive solutions to tree breeding specificities. And before starting the presentation, I invite you to spend a few time to answer the poll.
Yes, we send you a little poll you can see at the bottom of the screen, and you can reply now. We will discuss the results later on.
Okay. I wanted to start with the most common specificity of breeding tree. As a perennial crop, it is necessary to manage field trial, which will be evaluated along many years. The objective is to set up a logistic to capture data all along the trial duration from multiple harvests on the same tree, and notably to evaluate the production kinetic. In that case, the difficulties encountered for breeding organization are to support the investments of having the same unique trial planted for several years. And it also impacts the diversity of cultivars evaluated and the number of breeding cycles done simultaneously. The other difficulty is, because of the duration of the trial, the necessity for the breeders to maximize the genetic variability within a trial with very low repeatability. This will impact strongly the choice of relevant statistical tools. I think it's fridge my presentation. Yeah. Okay, yeah, the tree. Okay. The last difficulty I quickly mentioned about before is the time to get tree maturity, to be able to measure the fruit production and the quality. Finally, in digital transformation projects, for tree breeding organization, we at Dorian offer solutions to this challenge by delivering specific data structure, hosting multi-harvest results, and the statistical tool to analyze that type of trials, notably by delivering algorithms to analyze augmented designs or nearest neighborhood. We also offer the integration capabilities to interface with sensors or connected machines to automate the data capture and release immediately the agronomic results to stakeholders. Another tree breeding specificity due to their biology is the overall limited genetic diversity of fruit trees. Many of the most popular fruit trees varieties have been cultivated for decades, leading to a reduced genetic pool. This makes it difficult to breed new varieties with desirable traits without risking the loss of important genes. So the tree breeding organization need to build some strategies to increase the genetic variability of a population and better valorize ancient varieties, often bringing more robustness and specific disease resistances. So they face with difficulties to start with a small genetic pool to intensively cross-pollinate to increase the viability. Because the stock of germplasm is generally planted into collection nurseries, the breeder need to take care of maintaining safe their germplasm and track notably the zero variants. But last difficulty is also to overcome some incompatibilities or, at the contrary, the mutual benefits between rootstock and science. And the digital solution proposed by Dorian to respond to this challenge can be, first, to give tools to help breeders to characterize in detail their germplasm with large dictionary of ontologies and with analytical tools to measure their breeding values based on parental capacities to transmit desirable traits in their descendants. Another solution is offering IT tools enough flexible to fully integrate the activity of conservative maintenance with breeding. notably to monitor the production of science and the genetic IDs of parental lines. And finally, we also offer the possibilities within the data management tool to run in same time science-oriented breeding program and rootstock-oriented breeding program with totally different breeding objectives. So after having introduced digital solution addressing some trees breeding specificities due to their biological aspects, I will now speak about some modern techniques which can reduce the duration of breeding process. Yeah, Roman, do you have the result of the first poll?
Yes, I think okay. Hi everyone. So yes, we have. It's very interesting because 100% of the people of the respondents have said the most interesting was the second part on modern breeding tools, modern breeding methods.
So let's move
it's a
quickly.
pretty good introduction for you now.
Yeah.
And we have another poll now.
Yeah. And as there is another poll, if you can also take a few seconds. As we discussed before, pre-breeding organizations need to handle strong stability of their cultivars with impossibility to fix traits and multiply by seed the elite cultivars. And so for that, breeding departments developed methodologies that like tissue culture or grafting. In fact, we all know that after a cross-pollination, there is a big genetic reshuffle between female and male genome, which make that each seed is genetically unique. In such way, there are many progenies which need to be evaluated from the same cross. And this also implies to have efficient tools to quickly segregate the lines to reduce the spectrum of lines evaluated. But on the other hand, because of the multiplication of the cultivars, it is highly important into the breeding process to be able to evaluate several clones of the same cultivars in different conditions. The breeding data management solutions need to integrate the tissue culture processes. And we offer at Dorian some possibilities to integrate tissue culture production with field operations and field trials. But speaking about modern technique that can shorten the breeding processes, for sure I wanted to speak about the benefits of molecular markers and genome sequencing. And molecular markers, we all know that the objective is to saving time and space to speed up the breeding programs. For example, it is possible on the one hand to better choose each progenitor, and on the other hand, to screen the progenies of crosses very early. Human seeds are after the sowing on seedlings, for example, before the characters are expressed. And so we can more quickly eliminate individuals that are not interested at early stage, and we use for that less space and resources in the whole count. And the use of the markers is particularly on tree species, as it takes time before being able to assess the certain characteristics of fruit quality. However, still the sequencing remains costly and it needs to be fully valorized to get return on investments, particularly in tree activities. And another difficulty, consequently, is the database storing capacities that is required to allocate this voluminous data and the possibilities to valorize this information into the breeding decisions. But yeah, predictive models can be developed. Using genomic prediction model on a reference population can identify individuals of interest resulting from the crosses from an early stage, or can also predict the performances according to environmental conditions. And so for that, Dorian data science engineers developed predictive model skills based on machine learning that can be adapted to tree breeding population in order to predict progeny performances with the objective to optimize crossing plans. Yeah. If you are interested to know more, yeah, you can have a look on this very interesting study paper from a collaborative project supported by INRAE and IRTA, which explains how the structure of the population can be run to a genomic assisted breeding strategy. So if you are interested, you can click on the link. So after having introduced some modern techniques used in tree breeding to optimize breeding cycle, I will finish my speech with some digital solutions found to respond to some tree breeding specificities driven by market demands. In most of cases, the fruit production from trees are targeted for final user consumption with high standards of quality and diversity. So it is important for tree breeding organizations to integrate into their breeding decisions results from sensory analysis or processing labs. Breeders need to track samples harvested and the observation collected from third party like consumer panels or quality labs. And depending on the food product, the market targeted, the type of threats to track it, it's very diversified. Chemical, for example, the amount of micronutrients or bioactive components, the processing traits, for example, for oil, from palm oil, and measurements of its protein content, of flavors, for example, the sweetness of fruits and berries. In this context, if you run specific sensory analysis, the harvesting of samples need to be voluminous to guarantee the most of result viability. The resulting scientific methodology will particularly lean on the quality of observation measures. So scientists will need to ensure the quality of the data at the source by defining trait dictionaries and standard operating procedures to capture them, the confidentiality of the data that need to be protected and the access controlled. But integrating sensory or quality data capture require laboratory installation to integrate with the breeding activities. For example, to process cocoa beans in order to make flavor tests of chocolate. The render organization need to set up a cocoa processing laboratory with machines which require investments and new operations like device calibration or maintenance plans. And this represents the cost to calculate into a return on investment. Doyan helps to structure breeder traits management with unified dictionaries and forms to guarantee the confidentiality and security of the data entered. As the cultivars to analyze are selected in the field, there should be an interconnectivity between the field and labs to optimize the workflow to collect, order, label the samples, and finally share the results with the interesting stakeholders. To maximize the benefits of sharing the same process, the field activities and the laboratories benefit from a common tool addressing their specific shared insights. Otherwise, the interconnectivity solutions like API can support also the smooth communication between departments. To finalize my presentation, I wanted to open the debate on an interesting breeding methodology, the participatory breeding. Actually, it can be a good alternative to classical breeding strategies and can be even optimal for tree breeding as it brings more agility in breeding tree crops. The objective is to imply all along the breeding process final customers, and growers. Finally, it needs to rethink the digital tools accessibility, also the data to capture, the structuration of the information, and the pipeline of data enhancement. But the value of breeding decisions can also from more diversified data from a network of contributors who evaluate, give feedback, recover condition of use for their elite cultivars. And the strategies enable to maximize the characterization of G by E, and also to include the interaction of the practices, with that has a strong impact in the varieties performances. Finally, in summary, the solution proposed for that type of project by Dorian is a simple click solution for setting up trials, one easy data feedback via smartphone application or from a web portal, one easy import of data through API for sensor data capture, and graphical tools for the comparisons of this heterogeneous information. Furthermore, these initiatives are fully aligned, I think, with today's insights of agroecological transition, regenerative agriculture, or organic production. And so I invite you, if you want to deep dive on that subject, to read this interesting project supported by the German association Gut to apply more commons-based methodologies, notably the participatory breeding for the breeding of organic apple varieties. So it's time for me to conclude. But before, Roman, can you share the results on?
Yes, sure. We have asked to all of you what information system are you using in your daily work of breeding and testing, and 86%, nearly 90, reply only Excel files, and that's something we see pretty a lot. So maybe you can tell us a little more at the end of the presentation about this.
Excel file is for sure a very nice tool, but very difficult to maintain if we are working in team, and if you would like to expand the data processes. So many times the project we start with customers start from Excel file to move to a structured database, but good.
Okay, and so here we are. So the last question is, what is your biggest challenge in data management? So if you have, what's your challenge with your Excel files or any other system? I'll let you reply, and at the same time, Tristan is going to conclude.
Okay, so it's time to conclude now. And we could see along my presentation that creating a new commercial variety in 3 species is important for many reasons. Sustain the production for food security in the context of climate changes and disease operations, to propose alternative solutions to chemical fertilizing and crop protection, and to respond to consumer expectations in terms of quality and diversity. In fact, the main challenges in front of a breeding organization working on trees in comparison with annual crops are the time to create a new variety, which can take around 15 years up to 20 years, basically the double time as an annual crop. So it's quite long. The difficulty to multiply clones cultivars due to high heterozygosity of the populations, which requires specific operation like grafting, and cloning by tissue culture, which it's more time consuming. And the investment in time and land resources for the farmer to manage tree trial in farms. And so software solutions are there to support you with a specific data storing structure to address your specific processes from conservative nursery to final trials and sensory analysis. But also to respond to specific breeding processes, including crosses, tissue culture, and so on, and offering intuitive digital solution for the participatory breeding with offline applications for data collection, intuitive tools for data visualization in graphics. And I wanted, it looked to me very important to conclude this speech with also one very interesting opportunity for tree breeding and to develop tree farms, because they have, and you're probably sure that, a strong added impact on ecological benefits, such as carbon sequestration, water filtration, and also the habitat provision. So aside benefits for agriculture production, there are benefits for sustainability of agriculture. So thank you all.
Thank you all, and feel free to get in contact with us on the website or directly.
Yeah. Take
See you
care.
next time for another webinar.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.